Hi, Capricorn Sun and Rising. Welcome to your August 2024 Astro Update. It's Raina here. Well, as the month begins, we have the Sun and Venus in your 8th house. Whoa, that is quite a house. That is Scorpio's domain in astrology. And if you know the reputation that precedes Scorpio, you know that it is all about diving deep. And it also deals, the 8th house, with other people's resources or shared resources. So this is the house of inheritances. If you're getting divorced, this is the house of splitting up your stuff. You could call it, maybe I'll start calling it the War with the Roses house, if you remember that movie. Back in the day, I think it was Michael Douglas. And what was her name? She was such a big star, Catherine, so-and-so. Back in, I don't know if it was the 90s or the 80s or the late 80s, probably around 1990. And it was like they were fighting over their divorce and all the money. And it was billed as a black comedy, but I just didn't find it very funny because I really think it's sad. I know I'm a lot of fun at parties, right? But I just think it's sad when people lower themselves that way. So I want you to, if there's anything going on with like a will, or if you are getting divorced, or there's like a child custody, or no, I mean, not child custody, child support payments, that you take the high road. Doesn't mean that you just like lie down and let somebody walk all over you. But I understand this concept of the whole notion of something and how it can make you feel like, how dare that other person do me dirty like this. But even if you are fighting for something that you feel is yours and you feel like that would be a good cosmic lesson for the other person, that you can maintain your dignity throughout all of that so it doesn't become grasping, greedy, that kind of thing. So anyway, the reason I say this is because the Sun and Venus are in this sector, and Venus can be money. Venus is the ruler of the opposite house, the second house of earned income. Also, Venus is the ruler of the 7th house of committed partnership, such as marriage. So that could be a theme that has to do with money. Actually, Venus in this sector, there's nothing bad. Oh no, Venus is actually in your 9th house. The new moon is in your 8th house. Starting on the 4th of the month. But I'm recording this in the middle of July. So Venus at this time is likely in that 8th house, as well as the Sun is poised to go in there. It has not as of this particular publication of the video, but at some point, like around July 22nd, the Sun will go there as well. But Venus is there, and Venus can make some kind of situation be connected to money and this house of shared resources. So the new moon on the 4th is going to be in this sector, so there might be new developments with some kind of, if it's a court case or whatever is going on, that shared resources are being featured. But also, this is an area of spirituality, of the more esoteric variety, not the more what I would call mainstream of the 9th house. So you might be doing some inner work, Capricorn, and maybe even taking on some kind of course of studies. Venus is in the 9th house, and this is the house of love with people from a different culture. Maybe they're from a different country. It is possible some of you are traveling and you are meeting somebody on your travels. It is August in the Northern Hemisphere, but whatever is going on, I mean, it could simply be somebody of a different ethnicity or race. Also, you may take pleasure in intellectual pursuits at this time. You may find money for some kind of spiritual course like teaching yoga, and that would kind of dovetail into the eighth house as well, because I would include that there as well, because the eighth house is the house of transformation. And when you embark upon studies of a spiritual nature, you can't help but transform. So the ninth house is very expansive, whatever is going on here. The very next day, though, Mercury goes retrograde in this ninth house. So Mercury has been in this area of the ninth house, and maybe you were trying to obtain a passport and something was screwed up. So if you're listening in July and you were planning to get a passport, just be very, very aware of the snafus that can result, because Mercury will be in its shadow period in the second half of the month of July. So it starts its retrograde in that ninth house, and then on the 14th it goes back into the eighth house. What I personally feel about these areas is that it is looking at the situation between if you are interested in training or studying something of a spiritual nature, you may be torn between the ninth house, which is more traditional, and the eighth house, which is more open-ended. A Capricorn person will typically choose I would say like the ninth house, because, you're ruled by Saturn, and that's about what is tried and true. However, because you've had Pluto in your, transit your sign for 15 years, and it's going to go back into your sign in September for a couple of months for the last hurrah, you have probably experienced deep transformation in your life as a whole. And that can also extend to the kind of things that you think of about life itself. I've been on this message board. Well, it's a Facebook group for maybe a week or two, and I'm kind of semi-obsessed with it, because I can tell that a lot of the people are very programmed by the matrix, and they say things that are connected to the kind of conditioning that is very fear-based, that tries to keep us under its thumb. And I keep trying to point this out, and of course, some people are not ready to hear it. You know what I mean? I think that Capricorns are very wise. As a matter of fact, there are gurus who are born under the sign of Capricorn, and it is a sign that, at least one that I know of, it is a winter astrological sign, meaning it's the last four signs of the zodiac. I'm a Sag, and that's the last fire sign. Capricorn, Aquarius is the last air sign, and Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac and the last water sign. They are supposed to confer wisdom to the people born of those signs, because they are, they each represent seasons of life. And so I do think that the Capricorn person that avoids the devil, the devil card is connected to Saturn and the tarot. But if you can avoid those temptations of a lower nature, you can be very, successful in life. And even if you are successful in the view of the world, you can be in the world but not of the world. So I feel that some of you will choose the more esoteric, because maybe you've outgrown some of the dogma that is associated with organized religion, and some of you may be able to take the best of both worlds. Certainly I'm not a Catholic, but there are mystical aspects of Catholicism, and actually every religion has its mystical sect. If you're a Muslim, there are the Sufis. With the Jewish people, there's the Kabbalah. With Christians, there's the Gnostics. So it is out there. Okay. On the 19th, there's a full moon at 27 degrees of Aquarius. This is in your second house of earned income. That could be very lucrative for you. This is an earth house in astrology, the second house of earned income that Taurus rules, and you happen to have it in Aquarius. Of course, this is a general reading, so keep that in mind. But this, because it's an earth house, and you rule an earth house, being an earth sign yourself, you resonate with the themes of this area. And remember that you have the new moon in that 8th house, or you did have it there. So that's other people's money. So this is a month where money is featured in general. And by the way, with that new moon in the 8th house, it could be that your spouse maybe they have a new job and they are making a lot more money. And that benefits you by virtue of that person. For some people, you might be ending a source of income. You might even be retiring and going into a whole new area of life. I wouldn't be surprised. Of course, there are people listening to this of all ages, so I wouldn't expect you to retire when you're, 40 years old. But I actually did have a very young client who described themselves as retired, and I was like, oh, wow, that's pretty young. On the 22nd, the sun goes into Virgo. So the sun is going into that 9th house, and there's just like an expansive vibe, a very maybe even uncharacteristically cheerful or optimistic vibe that you are channeling right now or adopting right now. Not to say that Capricorns are glum, but you might certainly be people who are, you do tend to be on the serious side. And there's nothing wrong with being serious, but sometimes you may be overly serious, and sometimes you may be less than optimistic. You might favor quote unquote realism a little bit too much, when in fact there's no evidence that anything is in particular real. And being practical, it has its advantages, but sometimes it can have a limiting and exert a restrictive influence too. So it's all about balance, I suppose. On the 28th, Mercury goes direct at 21 degrees of Leo, so you will likely resolve something that you were kind of questioning, that may have been about your spiritual path. It may have been, or in general, the 8th house can be psychological issues. It can be issues of intimacy with another person, things of that nature. And you're resolving these things. The very next day, Venus goes into Libra. So this is a fellow cardinal sign. And this will hit one of your angular houses, in this case, the 10th house of career. This is actually a great place for Venus because this is your career sector, and this could lend some sort of charm to you at a time when you want to impress higher ups. Higher ups, authority figures, are the 10th house. The 10th house is your career, so this could be money, a raise that you are receiving. You could receive favor from the public at this time. And one thing to keep in mind is that you might start to see the beginning stages of something to do with eclipse action, that the eclipse that is happening in September is in Pisces, and that is going to be in your third house of the mind and communication. Brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors. Sweet. Oh no. This will hit one of your angular houses, in this case, the 10th house of career. This is actually a great place for Venus because this is your career sector, and this could lend some sort of charm to you at a time when you want to impress higher ups. Higher ups, authority figures, are the 10th house. The 10th house is your career, so this could be money, a raise that you are receiving. You could receive favor from the public at this time. One thing to keep in mind is that you might start to see the beginning stages of something to do with eclipse action. That the eclipse that is happening in September is in Pisces, and that is going to be in your third house of the mind and communication. brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors. And so news may come in for you, and it could be as early as August. So keep that in mind, that there could be something that is coming in related to some sort of big news. And yeah, so that's what I have for you, Capricorn. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.